What is going on, everybody? Welcome back today. So today we are going to be going over my Monster Hunter World set that I use, my armor that I use. So I am a hammer user. I do swap between other weapons as well, but I mostly use hammers. I just like using them. It's very fun to use, plus 2 when you get that nice big whirling smash going on. It's quite fun. So we're going to go over the gear set that I do have today, and then we're going to get into some gameplay with it as well. So for the gear set, we have the Dragon Eye, the Dragon King Eye Patch. So with the Dragon King Eye Patch, we get Weakness Exploit 2. I have it upgraded, of course, so we do have more armor. But the Weakness Exploit is really nice. What Weakness Exploit does is when you're hitting a weak spot with a monster, you get increased critical chance. Also, too, with this, we do have our Weakness Exploit gem. So, you don't necessarily need the gem on it. You can just keep it as is, but I have the gem on there because that'll bring it all the way up to 3. Next, we have the Cold to Wrath. That's what the big gold shiny part is on my cape. My cape, my back, big gold shiny armor. I wish we could change the color. Fortunately, we can. This is going to give us critical boost and stun resist too. Stun resist is really nice because a lot of the monsters in the game, when they do hit you very heavily, will stun you. So this gives us a great resistance to it. On this, I do have a stun resist gem as well. The stun resist gem is really helpful because it gives us a level 3 to go with that. And the critical boost too is also nice because every critical hit we get an increase to our critical damage. Next, we're going into the Xeno'jiiva Claws. Xeno'jiiva Claws are very nice because they do give a critical boost. This is just, if you don't have the gem, this is really nice to have. If you had a gem, I would just say slot a gem in somewhere if you do have the space available. Other than that, this critical boost here will give you 3 critical boost, and the flinch free is also nice as well. I do have the slot on here that I did slot in Critical Eye, which is increasing our crit chance as well. Going into our Odogaron Coil B. This is a nice early on one that you can grab. Of course, it does give the Critical Eye. I only grabbed the B because we only need the Critical Eye. We don't need the other perk that it does give as well from the A. And on this one, I did slide in Affinity Sliding. And we'll get into that one as well to see what that one is. It's basically when you do slide, when you go sliding down either mountains, wherever you're sliding, you're going to get an affinity boost for a short time. Very nice to have. We also have the Odogaron Greaves A. I chose these just because they also do give Critical Eye, so we're getting that extra point in. And it gives Quick Sheath. Not like we're maxing out Quick Sheath at all, but the Critical Eye is very nice to have in the meantime. And then we have a fully upgraded Master's Charm 3, which is giving us 3 levels of Critical Eye. And the capes you can go about as is for whichever one you'd like. I use the Impact because it adds the stun effect. I added on with the Hammer, that is a very big stun. And then the Bandit I've been using for a little bit. It just gives you more rare drops, which basically gives you something that you can sell for more money. Now, getting into with me using the hammer, I use the Milady's Fist. You get this from fighting the Odogaron. Sorry, not the Odogaron. From fighting one of the other monsters. I will look to see which one it was. And this one's really good. I like this hammer. It doesn't do as much damage as a lot of the other hammers, but it gives us a 20% affinity boost and the paralysis. A lot of the monsters in this game are affected by paralysis. That's why I use this very often. It's really good because, again, once you're hitting so much with the hammer, especially when you do our spin to win, so you're stacking up that paralysis a lot. And once they're paralyzed, you can stack barrels onto them for more damage, or you can charge up and wait for a big humongous attack. And if you're playing with others, like a greatsword user, it makes it even better for him to be able to use his ability for his greatsword charge up. So when we're getting into the skill build for this, so we have Odogaron Mastery because we have 2 Odogaron pieces. So it adds a stun effect to draw attacks and slightly increases attack power, which is really good. So when we sheath our hammer, which a lot of the time I don't end up doing, only because when we sheath our hammer, I mean, most of the time we can keep it out and run with it. The hammer is the one weapon where you can keep it out and still have a decent speed boost while you're running around with it. And we have Critical Eye 7. Not only because we have the 3 from our charm, the 1 from our gloves, the 2 from our bottoms, and the 1 from our boots. So, and this gives us 40% affinity, which is crit chance. Then we're gonna move into our stun resistance, which all 3 of course is on our chest, our Kulve Taroth chest. So this, at level 2, if you don't have a stun gem, is just reduces the duration of stuns by 90%, which is very, very good. So you get stunned by the big monsters, you snap out of it very fast to get you back into combat, or if you're very low on health, it prevents you from dying. With level 3, of course, it prevents stuns, which is also very nice, so you don't have to worry about those when you get hit by big monsters. You can heal immediately if you do need to. Getting into the critical boost when we get from our chest and from our gloves. Again, if you have a gem, I would slot a gem into here instead of using 1, because then you can open up for something else to maybe have, like maybe go into quick sheath if you want to use that more often. So getting into this increases damage dealt by critical hits by 40% at level 3. Very good. Again, since we're going to be critting so often, this extra damage we're going to be getting is very nice and very worth it. Now, Weakness Exploit increases the affinity of attacks that exploit a monster's weak point. So, this is anytime you get orange numbers. Orange numbers means you're hitting a weak spot and not a heavily armored spot we grayed out. So the attack that hits weak spots have a 30% increased affinity with an extra 20% on wounded parts. So certain monsters that you have hit a certain number of times, you'll see it too in their face or in their body, it'll be cracked. That is a wounded spot. So we get 30% increased affinity from that already. And then Quick Sheath, of course, we just have that level 1, which increases our sheathing speed, which again, we don't do very often, but when we do, it's kind of nice to have that little bit. So right now, we are looking at 40% affinity chance to get our critical hits going. And then we also have the extra 30% that we get from hitting weak spots. That is 70% affinity right there. That is great. So basically, every time we hit something, we are pretty much guaranteed to get a critical hit. Almost every time. And if we look at our weapon as well for our Milady's Fist, it's also why I use Milady's Fist, because we're adding an extra 20% onto that. So we'll even add it into just a plain affinity right now. That's a 60% affinity right there, with the Weakness Exploit making that a 90% affinity chance. If we add in our sliding, which we'll get into right here, like flinch free, we just have from the Xeno'jiiva clause. I mean, prevents knockback, which is nice. Always kind of nice to have one of those, especially since we're a hammer user, going to be in the face all the time. The other thing that does boost this, and why I have it in, is this Affinity sliding. And again, for sliding sliding increases your affinity for a short time. So increases the affinity by 30%. So we're basically at 120% critical hit chance for a short time after we slide. So this is a very nice build. I've been using this for a while. Kulve Taroth was one of the big, not mini bosses I would say, but he was an event boss. I believe he has been fully added into the game, but he is a big golden boss that you have to take on with a party. But it's very much worth it. The gear explains it for itself with the critical boost alone going along with our build. Now going into other things, I will get into our Palico, because our Palico does have a huge impact on our gameplay as well. As you can see, Lord Beerus standing right next to me looking fabulous. Look at that purple. Oh, wonderful. So I mean, he has the Kulve Taroth stuff as well, because it gives really great defense and really good resistances. During Ice and Fire, Ice and Dragon, yes, it's not that great. And then for his weapon, guys, I highly recommend when you get it is the Bond Ball. That's the little ball you see right here on his back. It's like pretty much a little mini mace that he does get to use. I highly recommend having this on your Palico. You can use other weapons that do more damage. I know everyone, of course, wants the one that does more damage. This increases his defense by 16%, which is amazing. You know, not 16%, but plus 16. So the bonus is really nice. He's at a 395 defense. That is so much for a Palico. Plus his resistances as well. with his, between that and his stats, he's at a 293 melee, 264 ranged. He has blunt, so certain things work on certain monsters better. Blunt is a lot better for hitting in the head. What we're really looking for on this weapon though is the sleep element that it does give. So the 75 sleep is so nice. This actually procs more often than a lot of the other weapons I've seen. Like if you get poison or if you get paralysis on this, which I'm already using paralysis, so I always thought, okay, this sleep will be better. He puts these monsters to sleep so fast, and it just happens so often. You kind of question it, like, is this really OP? I've even looked at using a sleeper hammer as well, but none of them have affinity to try and help us make up for that little bit of affinity loss that we would be acquiring. So I highly recommend the Bond Ball if you guys can get it. Again, Bond is not very hard, and again, it helps so much with early game leveling or even leveling with your friends in general with hunts. So with all of our stats boosted like that, of course, we're at a base 60% affinity. That's because we haven't hit any, of course, we don't have any weak parts hit. We have the 390 for paralysis, and with the hammer guys, we stack on that paralysis constantly. So once a monster is paralyzed, it makes it so much easier to take them on and get them taken care of. So again, we're going up to a 90% and if we hit monster weak points, and if we also get the sliding going on, that's 120%, so we're pretty much always critting, and then we're just getting that 40% damage boost going. But without further ado guys, let's get into some missions and I'll show you guys how it all works. Alrighty guys, so jumping right into meals. Meals are one of the big important things, especially too with this build. Again, since we're lacking a little bit of damage, since we are going critical, you can pay with money or points, your vouchers, whatever you'd like to do. So with this, we're just gonna oven roast real quick. We're just gonna do meat, blah blah blah. So with this, custom platter, Chef's Choice is always a good one to go for because we get the 50 stamina, the 50 health, and then the plus 20 for our Palico as well. Plus it also gives our boost for our Palico as well that activate quite often. I always recommend going for the attack up at large. Any attack ups would be really nice. You can get the attack up medium, the attack up small. Like this one has an attack up medium with a defense if you're taking a lot more damage. So I always recommend the attack up large. Attack up larges are really nice only because since we're lacking a little bit in the damage department, the little extra damage is also going to help. And again, the more damage we do, the bigger our crits are going to be. And since we're critting so often, we want our damage to be as high as possible. Boom, there he is. He's coming up right now.
You can use the slinger with your weapon drawn. Look for the perfect moment, then fire.
Look at all those critical hits that we're hitting, because we're hitting weak spots with that 90% critical. We want to get our charge up going. Again, 1, 2, and then we hit him in the face. We're going to charge up for 3, get our spin to win. Look at that, he's paralyzed, and we have the critical hit going. So we're going to charge up. Look how broken he is already. Not only is it from the critical hits, but again, it's also from us having to camp. Boom. So again, you can use whatever weapon you'd like. I love to use hammers, and again, especially spin the wind. Now see that he's knocked down, now we're going to get right in his face. Again, so there's the 10%, because again, we have a 90% crit chance when we're hitting them in a weak spot. Boom, we got the paralyze going off on him as well. again, look at how massive these crits get. Again, we don't have a lot of damage, but our crits are what are helping us a lot with this. Oh, and then we get our big spin going on. Oh, we're gonna get right on top here. Come on now. Here we go. I'm gonna call my Viger Wasp right now. Just laying on all of it. Okay, we're gonna run up. So with all of our critical hits we have going, plus the paralysis, it just makes it, again, it makes it so easy to be able to take down big monsters like this. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. Again, this is my good early game build for critical hits. Again, it gives you critical damage as well. You can use any weapon you'd like with this. If it gives you extra affinity, it's always helpful, because again, we're hitting right now just between the little bit of gear that we do have, guys. We are at 60% crit chance. So I'll leave this up on here as well. I hope everyone did enjoy. If you do enjoy, please do drop a like on the video for me, and also subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about the build in the comment section down below. Again, I love this build. I've been using this build constantly since I made it, and it's a really good critical and critical boost build that helps with hunting. And again, hopefully everyone did enjoy, and I'll hopefully see everyone in the next one.